just fully reward you. Brother, it's true, yeah. So cast your bread upon the waters, and it will return to you, yeah. Good measure, full and running over. God will multiply your givings back to you.
You're in tune to Win FM 98.9. It's 8 o'clock. I am Carlton DuPont, and I'll be here until 11. I want to give God praise and thanks for life, sparing my life to see another Sunday. I enjoyed today. I had some rest. Went to the meeting, got my spiritual food, and I'm ready to go. I am expecting to have a guest tonight in the name of Lincoln David Pell, the representative for the People's Action Movement in number 7. He will spend at least an hour with me tonight. I'm feeling good. Jehovah, the giver of every good gift and every perfect present, has bestowed on each of us a variety of gifts. Thanks to him, we have such gifts as a body, a mind, a measure of health, and various abilities. However, Jehovah does not simply force us to display integrity. Hard work is expected from us if we are to practice integrity. Well, what is integrity? When it comes to integrity and choosing our pathway in life, Jehovah God allows us to choose whether we will develop integrity or not. There are so many people in the world who knows nothing about integrity, sadly. But in order for us to lean or go towards integrity, we must examine ourselves and see where we are going and where we need to make necessary changes. So the question again is, what is integrity? Many people seem to have a hazy idea of what integrity is. For example, when politicians boast of their integrity, they often seem to mean honesty. But I want the congregation to understand this. Honesty is a good quality of life. But it is only a part of integrity. As used in the Bible, integrity involves moral completeness and soundness of mind. The Hebrew words relating to integrity comes from a root meaning sound, whole, or faultless. A scripture, the first scripture I want to give to you this evening is Ecclesiastes 7:29, because you know the reason why I'm here. I'm here to continue the work of working hard to make sure that Timothy Harris no longer or will never ever become the Prime Minister of this country again. So in Ecclesiastes 7:29, the Bible says, "This alone I have found, the true God made mankind upright, but they have sought out many schemes." And of course, by now you should know, Timothy Harris is not only a schemer, he's an imposter. You see, a man of integrity can't be a schemer. A man of integrity cannot be cunning. Cunning. When last you heard that word? Cunning. And a man of integrity will not give a pledge and pull it back. Would not say, I will do A, B, and C, and then pull it back. I feel good tonight to be allowed to come and Win FM, to be given the keys. Came to the studio with the help of my friend Trent Sargent, and I'm here till 11 o'clock. I feel good, and I want to say thanks to those of you all around the world who are sending donation from almost every country so that I can pay for the programs that I'm doing not only here, but on 106.5. And let me remind you, let me say something to you tonight. Tomorrow morning, God Spare My Life, I will have Carl Brown as one of my guests down at 106.5. I'm giving him an opportunity to come on my program because I like him. I like his style. So let's go to the board and come right back, and we will get into the meat of the program. What we got here?
The sign Pelican Mall. Once you get there, go inside and ask for Carlton Talk Puppy DuPont. Is that the name of the store? It's DuPont's Jewelry. They're small enough to know you and large enough to serve you. If you have a newborn baby and want to know if he or she is sick, DuPont is the man to find you that special silver bracelet. What about wedding bands? I'm getting married next month, you know. Congratulations! DuPont's Jewelry now has special engagement rings with affordable prices. They also have the latest shades and glasses frames. Great! I think I'm gonna buy some shades for my fiancé and nephew in Nevis. I'm glad you mentioned Nevis, because all Nevisians who come to shop at the store, DuPont will reimburse their ferry fee. Wow! That's amazing! Thanks for the info. I must hurry to DuPont's Jewelry right away. Happy shopping at DuPont's Jewelry Store. Have a nice day. At DuPont's Jewelry Store. Have a nice day. At DuPont's Jewelry Store. Have a nice day.
Oh, the power lies in you.
Lionel Benjamin out of Sandy Point. The power lies in you. I'm going to play a speech shortly by Sean Richards. I want you to pay careful attention.
They have problems. They are lonely, sad, sick and poor. They seek faraway solutions to solve them. When the answer lies at their door, the power lies in you to do the things in life you wanna do. Oh, the power lies in you. Don't wait for someone else to do it for you. The politician says you are powerless. He has the power to run your show, but you elect him because you know best, and his power is lost if you say no. The power lies in you to do the things in life you wanna do. Oh, the power lies in you. Don't wait for someone else to do it for you.
Special good night to the folks in Nevis, our sister island, listening, and people all around the world. A special night to the folks in Statia. They're listening.
The preacher man tells you what's right and wrong. He says how to live and how to die. Who to love and hate if you're weak or strong. But going to heaven or hell is your own cry. The power lies in you to do the things in life you wanna do. Oh, the power lies in you. Don't wait for someone
Son, that's great. But you must begin now. Then you won't have to beg anyone any favors. They will know you for what you are. A big star.
Don't wait for someone else to do it for you. Don't wait for someone else to do it for you. Don't wait for someone else to do it for you.
Folks, this election is going to be a very, very serious election. A matter of fact, in my humble opinion, it can go down as one of the most elections. Remember the last election, we had to, not the last one, the one when we had a change where unity came in because we had some problems and ended up in the court. You remember? Well, from what I've been hearing this afternoon, a lot of people, I was sleeping, and people woke me up and told me that problems in terms of people in the airport coming in with passport. So we will see where that go. Remember, I told you it's 10 minutes after 8. I told you that I want to play something very important from Sean Richards. I'm going to play it now. Carefully sit down and listen, Sean Richards, because this is a big speech. And this speech is going to play a part in the election coming. So I want to cross to the board now and let's relax. It's 15 minutes. On the bottom of the hour, Lincoln David Pell will be joining me for 1 hour from 8:30 to 9:30. And if we see it important, I will have him stay a little longer if he has no pressing issues. So let's cross over to the board and listen to this speech by Sean Richards.
My fellow citizens, in a matter of weeks, we will face another general elections in St. Kitts and Nevis. This election will be transformative. However, it will also be an election that replaces a troubled and undemocratic leadership with a new and vibrant team of servant leaders whose only aim is to deliver the promises of greater prosperity and accountability to the people. As the political leader of PAM, I feel very confident about the future for our country and the brighter prospects that are ahead. This election will heavily focus on the rebuilding of trust and integrity and about the real development of our people. Trust is integral in any relationship, and the majority of members who comprised the government unfortunately lost all trust in Dr. Timothy Harris. His propensity to look you in the eye and blatantly lie is unimaginable to those who do not know him. He sat next to colleagues in cabinet while waging a constant war of undermining their efforts and their ministries and departments. We try to have our concerns addressed and to have him change his ways, but still, he would look you in the eye and continue his program of undermining. It is and was a reality that is and was difficult to fathom. We tried 2 formal meetings to resolve our differences, and he seriously refused to negotiate. We tried again with a formal letter with all grievances and to meet for a 3rd time, and he insulted us with an 18-page diatribe that again failed to seriously address the issues. What many do not know is that he agreed to meet just last weekend after the intervention of a citizen of goodwill, and he refused to attend the meeting, claiming that he was sick and under doctor orders to rest. However, that same day, he was seen out and about and very active in public, including attending a church service on the Sunday. It is very clear that Dr. Harris had no desire to meet and to resolve the issues. He preferred to pursue his narrow personal objectives that are designed to benefit him and his close family and associates. And this is what PAM and CCM intend to change. Our interest will not be about short-term handouts, nor would it be about deception. Others are already using government money and resources to give you a quick fix, which really is only a ploy to deceive you, and then after the election, they will forget you. They have no interest in your well-being. They will use you and then discard you. The People's Action Movement has been preparing for this election and is ready to offer itself in partnership with the Concerned Citizens Movement as a viable alternative to the destructive paths that have led us to the current political impasse. I have said before, and it is worth repeating here and in the future, PAM and CCM working together offer hope, stability, and continuity. In recent weeks, I outlined some of the programs, policies, and initiatives that we will pursue. Very shortly, we will unveil more chapters of the brighter future that we hope to offer our people. In addition, you will soon get the opportunity to meet our 8 candidates for the People's Action Movement. Now, let me turn to current matters. On Tuesday, 10th May 2022, the outgoing Prime Minister announced that he had advised the Governor General to dissolve the National Assembly effective that same day. This means that elections must be held within 90 days or no later than 7th August 2022. However, it will not take 90 days for the elections to be called. As we say in St. Kitts and Nevis, the bell will ring long before the 90-day period. Elections could be held as early as mid-June or within the first 2 weeks of July. I therefore encourage all PAM supporters and members of the party to check the voters list now to ensure that your names are accurately recorded in the polling divisions where they should. I also urge PAM members and supporters who are not yet registered to do so within the next 10 days. As I have said before, this election will present many uncertainties, but the only certainty we have is that the outgoing Prime Minister will not return as Prime Minister after the elections. Of course, in desperation, he will try all types of tricks, gimmicks, and perhaps many activities that could be challenged for their constitutionality and legality. When someone is desperate and has a lot to lose, not just politically, but personally, they would try anything and there would be no respect for laws, norms, and decency. Dr. Timothy Harris has no moral authority to govern. Our parliament is comprised of 11 elected representatives. 6 of us are from PAM and CCM and do not support Harris. 2 others are from the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party, and they too do not support Harris. This leaves Harris and 1 other member of his party who support him. In addition, there is 1 additional MP who seems to have put his personal benefits ahead of his loyalty to country and his party. So, in a country that is supposed to be democratic, we have a situation where 3 elected MPs out of 11 are masquerading as a government, while 8 duly elected ones clearly do not support this travesty that is being condoned by a few who benefit from the handouts of government resources. The outgoing Prime Minister is therefore selfishly insisting on clinging to power, regardless of the damage being done to St. Kitts and Nevis. He has put his personal lust for power before what is right, just, and good for our people. His political impotence was exposed for all to see when he tried to summon a cabinet meeting but could not do so. His legitimacy having long evaporated once the majority of Team Unity MPs had filed a vote of no confidence in his leadership. The artificial cabinet has no constitutional, moral, or political authority to govern. Having lost the confidence of the cabinet, the only option was for him to resign as Prime Minister. Some said that he wanted to resign, but was discouraged to do so by a small group who feel that their benefits would be evaporated. Instead, he precipitated an unprecedented constitutional crisis that has caused grave international embarrassment and shame. Today, it is hard to find a Caribbean leader who wishes to associate with Dr. Harris. His actions have created political instability and have driven a dagger into the heart of our cherished democracy. For this, he will never be forgiven by the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Dr. Harris undermined the greatest concept in the modern politics of St. Kitts and Nevis, that of a united government working in the interest of all. He has betrayed the people by ignoring the promise of accountability, transparency, and good governance in search of a better and brighter future. But the end is near. The voice of the people will be the final arbiter. The nation is waiting to exhale. I know your patience is wearing thin. I am advised that on Tuesday, the outgoing Prime Minister also announced that he had requested of His Excellency the Governor General to have the ministerial appointments of 6 cabinet members revoked. If this were not a serious matter, it would tempt many to laugh. His purported firing of cabinet ministers is amusing, given their principled stand of abstention from the cabinet as a mark of protest against his illegitimate hold on power. Bolting the stable door after the horses fled is an act of utter desperation that highlights his obsession with the office of Prime Minister. These 6 members made it clear to the Governor General and the entire population of St. Kitts and Nevis since 20th April 2022 that they had no confidence in the leadership of the outgoing Prime Minister and that he no longer commands their support to continue serving in that capacity. Perhaps it was not obvious to the outgoing Prime Minister that the horses had long left the stable before the sound of his starter gun. You may also recall that I filed a motion of no confidence against the government due to the poor leadership of the Prime Minister. That motion was filed on Monday, 25th April 2022, and by law had to be heard within 21 days. This means that the motion would have had to be debated in Parliament by 15 May 2022. My fellow citizens, in other words, the outgoing Prime Minister had no alternative but to dissolve the National Assembly on Tuesday. It was not an option that he had. He was forced into a corner where the deadline was fast approaching. When the National Assembly is to be convened, all parliamentarians must be given notice 5 days in advance. Therefore, the Speaker would have summoned the meeting of the National Assembly by yesterday, Wednesday, 11th May, for a meeting to take place by Sunday. The outgoing Prime Minister had no choice. Time ran out on him, and to avoid being fired by a successful motion of no confidence, he ran to our distinguished Governor General to save face and dissolve the National Assembly. So, now, we must get ready to face the people and convince them that we are the best option for the future of St. Kitts and Nevis. I sense your frustration and pain. Rest assured that you will have your say. I call upon Dr. Harris to stop the dramatics and advise His Excellency to fix the election date. You can run, but you cannot hide from the people. We know he plans to use money from the government's treasury for political campaigning. I warn public officers to be true to their oath and protect the public purse from such illicit machinations. It would be an act of serious misconduct in public office for Dr. Harris to spend public funds for cleverly disguised political campaigning. Rest assured, we intend to closely monitor Dr. Harris to ensure that they do not spend your money in such a flippant manner. Having consistently failed to listen to reason, he must now listen to time and ultimately to the people. The dim light at the end of the tunnel will grow brighter once the date for the next general election is fixed. Be strong, have faith and trust in the good Lord. Soon enough, you will have the chance to let Harris know what you think and how you feel. Sooner rather than later, the people will have the opportunity to stand for real unity. The dream of real unity shall never die. It will live on in the united front between CCM and PEM. Thank you.
You're in tune to Win FM 98.9. That was a rebroadcast of a speech from about 6 weeks ago from Sean Richards. I want to go to New York and say a special good evening to Colin Smith, who I realize over there on the board is online. Thank you, Colin. I wonder if the Governor General heard about the amount of people that came to St. Kitts today. It has been alleged that 71 persons came on a plane today from overseas. Everybody had a brand new passport for St. Kitts. But we will look into that further. At the bottom of the hour, I want you all to know that Lincoln David Pell is in the studio already, in Studio 2, set and ready to go. Not before we play this song. I want you to pay careful attention to this song. It's by a guy from St. Paul's named King Sobi living in New York. Listen. This goes to Timothy Harris and his supporters.
Ungratefulness, it is worse than witchcraft, my friends. 'Cause you will give 100% of kindness, and all you'll get in return is enemy. When man heart is corrupt, it's resistance to love and change. Even when the atmosphere calm and quiet, they shall possess hostility. But it's the nature of the people that surround you. They will come and eat and drink and then go talk you. They always running their mouth on somebody. No good for nothing bastards. Where I say, all you better mark their faces. Aye.
You know what frustrates me? How good Sean treated Harris. And look how Harris is dealing with Sean now. With bitterness. Listen this verse.
Sometimes I try to see if I can find out why. Every time a black man waves 1 foot off the ground, is the next black man right there to pull him down. You work so hard, just get something in life they wish you bad. And all of a
wonderful, wonderful song out of St. Paul's by Sobi. Folks, let me say this. None of us can escape the consequences of our action. And everything we do have a payday. So says Job 34:11. The Bible says, for he will reward a man according to what he does, and bring upon him the consequences of his ways. I am telling you, Timothy Harris would not get away from his deadly dealing with Sean Richards and Mark Brantley. In my opinion, Sean Richards and Mark Brantley are two of the best politicians this country has ever seen. And it doesn't matter what anybody say. That wouldn't deter me. Ladies and gentlemen, before I bring in David Lincoln Pell, or Lincoln David Pell, the right way to do it, I want to say to the people in St. Kitts and Nevis, do not allow Timothy Harris to get us in an argument as if we are going against the Spanish, the Jamaicans, the Haitians, and our Windward Island and Trinidadians and Barbadian friends who are living here. That is one of the things he's trying to do. Could you imagine, after Timothy Harris got a second term to be Prime Minister of this country, he's forcing himself and us by trying to win an election with overseas votes. Isn't it sad? And with votes, giving people passport, for them to get passport. And so it's a thin line between there, which we got to be careful with. But our Caribbean brothers and sisters, they know what's going on. And so it's 28 minutes to 9. Let's cross over now to Studio 2 and say a pleasant good evening to Lincoln David Pell. How are you, sir?
Good evening, sir. And I'd like to greet everyone in the name of Jesus Christ with his peace, because his peace is different to everyone else's peace.
All right. I want you just
to
talk.
all the listeners
Yes.
here in SKN and abroad.
I believe you have to speak into that mic a little bit more. Let's go again. Say something.
Good evening.
Oh, yeah. Much, much better. Much better. Lincoln, you did a very nice interview with me. We did a good interview over at 106.5, but just for the benefit of the Win FM listeners, tell us again, who is Lincoln David Pell?
Well, Lincoln David Pell is a gentleman who came from humble beginnings, and as we will say locally and sometimes abroad as well, that I am a product of what we'll call someone who is community raised. Because not only my family, but also my extended family, when we get in trouble, let's say just do something that we're not pleasing to our mother, she will say, I will take you out to your uncles, or to your grandfathers, or even grandmothers, to let them deal with you, to help me to deal with you guys. And even some elderly cousins that we had, she will deal with them. One of those cousins come to mind is one we call Buck. His name is Dennis Shepard, who was actually, he's now deceased. And all his friends from Lodge who helped us, and also other persons from the community and neighboring villages who would have shown interest in my mother to help her. My mother is Sylvanie Pell, and she from Lodge. You know, she used to say the red-skinned woman, because she is fair-skinned. But at the end of the day, I just want to let everyone know, I'm just so thankful to God to bless her with the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding to bring us up the way she did, and to make sure she was able to get persons to help her to raise us up. And I would just like to introduce myself in that way and let everyone know I'm somebody from Lodge, and that's my hometown.
Right, Lincoln?
Yes, sir.
Just hold there. We got to play a song. I'm getting calls from many callers and saying that your mic not coming through nice. So let's do something here and we'll work something else out. Let's play this.
Things were happening. Deals were being made. Transactions being entered into. And many of us in the cabinet were none the wiser. I took an oath, and so I will not get into the details of cabinet business. But I do remember on one occasion when we had instituted the Sustainable Growth Fund. Forgive me, please, no. It was the Hurricane Relief Fund immediately after the hurricanes of 2017 in the CBI program. And we were told that the fund was doing extremely well. And I recall distinctly when one member of cabinet asked, what does that mean? What are the numbers? And the technocrat said, I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. To a question as to how well and what the numbers were for a government program. And then that technocrat, I recall, turned to the Prime Minister and said, only the Prime Minister can tell you that. And his response was, the program is doing very well. We were in a cabinet where we could not even get information as to government programs. The peace program that we had all supported in its conception. We understood much later that the monies for the peace program were being taken from the government, being sent to the development bank and being administered by and through the development bank. No accountability. When we ask, so what is this? How many people are on this program? How is the program working? How many citizenships are being applied for? How many are being granted? What is the revenue? What is being generated? No response. No response. And so we moved on in that way, raising these issues in the confines of the cabinet, raising these issues in the confines of private meetings, saying this is not unity. This is not what we promised each other and the people. These grand announcements, I will use an example, something that has stayed with me. The Honorable Lindsey Grant, who I believe is the best Minister of Tourism the Caribbean has seen in a very long time. Notice I didn't say St. Kitts and Nevis. The Caribbean has seen in a very long time. He has a knack for it. He has done well. And Lindsey used to call me on a Sunday because Cabinet is Monday. And he would call me on a Sunday and say, Mark, I'm asking you to support me because I'm bringing something tomorrow. This was in the height of the COVID pandemic. Lindsey was fighting tooth and nail. I could remember the passion that he came to that cabinet with, talking about the hair braiders, talking about the guys with the monkeys down at Port Zante, talking about the taxi drivers. Let me tell you, you have no better friend than Lindsey Grant, because he campaigned tirelessly for you in the cabinet, asking for us to amend the protocols to allow the cruise ships to come back so that those people could eat bread.
All right, Lincoln, let's try the mic. So the mic really was giving trouble, so I went over there in the mixer and push it up a little bit. Let's see what we'll get. So again, who is Lincoln David Pell?
Okay. I'm a product of what we'll call a community raising a child. Because my mother, she would say, when we get in our troubles, like refuse to do something or did something that we shouldn't do, we'll say, if I cannot go with you guys, I will take you out to my brothers, to my father, and even to your uncles and your grandfathers here, and even their wives and so forth. And at the end of the day, our older cousins and so forth, and other elders in our community. One cousin who I would like to bring to mind, I don't want to call names, but I could call his name because he's now deceased, but he's my cousin Buck. He was Dennis Shepherd. And all his friends who were around him helped brought us up. I'm not going to call their name, but they know who they are because they're from Large Annapolis and all those areas. It's because of those persons we are here today. And I'm here doing what I'm doing. And also, I can't forget Pastor Kelvin Jones. Since we were babies, we were around him and he helped brought us up. And all I could say, thank God for all those persons. You know, those persons who may or may not know my mother's name, I will call her name right here because she'll be happy to hear her name called. My mother's name is Sylvanie Pell. She's a fair-skinned lady. Some persons would call her the red-skinned lady. She was fortunate enough, even her bosses, she would have to call upon if she wanted. to help bring us up. So it was not only our community, but the entire, a wider community outside of large area. So the our employees in town and so forth. I don't want to call names right now, so I have to get permission. But by what I'm going to say, at least that will help persons to recognize who they are, because they know who they are. So I'm going to give, as I come on to these programs, I'll give some more who I am, because I want persons to know that it's a journey. Life is a journey. And at the end of the day, I am taking this journey. I didn't know I would have been here today, but because of God and because of the persons, even my teachers, who would have prepared me to be here. Everyone who crossed my life. It could be children in the sports that I did. They had an impact on me, especially in the sports that I was in. Since in primary school, I played football, cricket. High school, same thing. In high school, I played volleyball. Even when I was working as a police officer, I played volleyball for the police and even played volleyball for the national team. So all those persons who were involved, the coaches and everyone, helped shape me to who I am. And even in the police force, some of the superintendents, the leaders, the commissioners, all those persons would have helped me. So I just want to give thanks for everyone who would have contributed to help developing the person who I am today.
So Lincoln, where the impetus came from to run in election at this time?
Well, it's a good question. Sometimes one wouldn't be thinking of anything. And sometimes you hear voices. Some people say they hear voices, but you could say, is the Heavenly Father talking to you? But what really kind of get me start thinking about it is the present situation. Sometimes circumstances make persons get into a certain position to try to help the situation. And when I realize, look, our country is somewhat in a constitutional problem, so to speak. Because you could say it's a problem. Because we do not elect a prime minister. We elect representatives to the House of Parliament. And it is in the House of Parliament that the prime minister, if you want to use the word elected, are selected. And it is from the majority. And also, the Constitution make provision for the majority to even take back that support if they choose to. And I know, because I've read something, I was going through our Constitution to come with an affirmative answer this evening. I kind of find it, but I could give examples from other areas where have our same system, like in the UK, Canada, Australia, and those places, who would have had numerous motions of no confidence. Even in Israel, they're having one government going to change just now, and it's like, I think it's 4 new governments, elections they might have in just 2 years or something like that for elections. And it's because of something similar. They had coalition partners, and there was a breakdown. And what they are saying, when a motion of no confidence is called, it must be held before the House is dissolved, because persons were elected, and you have to give a reason why you call it. And even if you remember with Boris Johnson, I think it was when they were coming out of the EU, vote to come out of the EU, there was something similar. He wanted to dissolve Parliament, and the voters said no. The motion should be heard. But for whatever it is, we didn't get that opportunity here. And those are some of the things that kind of pushed me there, along with sometimes I'm in church and, talking in my head. And all I'm saying, if it is you, Heavenly Father, guide me. And that is where I am here today.
How your campaign going? Have you been able, since we spoke last on 106.5, have you been able to put a team together? Because I was amazed when a young lady rang me in the store and asked me for the invitation for you. I don't know who the lady is, but that was quite nice. So it seems to me like you're formulating your campaign team already?
Yes, I have a good campaign manager and a good team, and all I just refer to as my manager. And I've also have a gentleman who is my deputy. And I must say I have a wonderful team working with me. And in just a short time, we were able to do so many things that we have been through the constituency since Sunday. And then again in the week, last week. We have been to the constituency, and the support we are getting, it's amazing. And like I said, some people tell me, but you're so confident. I said, yes, I'm confident I am going to win this election. The seat of Constituency 7 belongs to Lincoln David Pell, because as my motto go, getting it done with Lincoln. So even when you see me now in the street, you say, we're going to get it done with Lincoln. And also when you hear getting it done with Lincoln, it's about getting the entire team elected. Not just by me, but with everybody. But at the end of the day, God is a good God. Some people will say, but you have a big mountain. I said, but you know what? If those of you who know the story of David and Goliath.
Amen.
Goliath was a big guy. Everybody feared this gentleman. But David, because of his upbringing, and like I said, I have a firm upbringing from my community, from the pastors like Kelvin Jones, even the elders in the Seventh Adventist Church that I attend. And even I went to a church, I'm not going to call names, but like I said, I went to a church there, and the pastor, I know him long time, he know me long time, even him had me in bringing up in this way, and he's a pastor. And I had to thank him. I go personally and thank these persons. Even today I thank them. So I know that I will be victorious. However, those of us and a lot of us who know the Bible will know, at the end of the day, no one, even David's brothers, but my brothers are something else. They support me. Because at the end of the day, if that's what you want to do, we have nothing else to do but support you.
Praise
That
Him.
is your choice.
Yes.
My family does that. My friends, my colleagues, even my schoolmates. Because what happened, we support each other in what we do. We say, okay, I congratulate you, I support you. And I have a lot of friends who have done that. But going back to David to let you see why I'm confident. Well-trained soldiers, I'm well-trained in a number of stuff. Because like I said, I was a police officer and had a number of training with the different militaries and so forth. So I'm prepared. But at the end of the day, well-trained soldiers were afraid of Goliath. And he was asking, is there no one from Israel could come here? We know the story. Even the king was giving David his armor, and David said, no, this is too heavy for me. I do not want that. God going to provide. And he went up with 5 stones and his slingshot, because he was preparing when he was taking care of the sheep. And this is what is happening here. I will come with some changes. Yes, the thing with the party will come. But like I get the word from the national political leader of the People's Action Movement, as long as you are prepared, go on any interview. And therefore, I'd like to thank him for that. And I'm prepared. And just like with David, he had to put the king's armor away because it was too heavy and use what he had.
Humility is a great thing. Am I hearing from you that you had a discussion with Sean Richards about doing interview? That's what I heard a while ago. And he told you, as long as you are prepared, go right ahead?
As long as I'm prepared. And that prepared meaning, I didn't give you any questions to ask me.
That's
and
right.
Therefore, you ask me any question, because with God, the mercy of God, who is my Father, I'm prepared for any question. So I do not need anything to guide me. I'm I could say learned, if you want, in the affairs of politics and in the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis. I believe in our Constitution, because the situation we have, it's not the Constitution is flawed. But you know how it goes. When people work a system, you either make it better, make it good, or you break it and bring it down. So it's not the Constitution. It is not even the laws. Because you know what happened? Even the UK, even Canada, Australia, a lot of the other OECD countries, constitutions are similar, and some of them are even identical to us. But what happened is the persons who are working those things. And I am trying to bring change for us to recognize our Constitution tells us it was based on the belief in God. And if we believe in God, then we should be fair. We should be just to each other and try to do things the right way.
You're in tune to Win FM 98.9. Just in case you're just joining us, this is a live program. In Studio 2, Lincoln David Pell, the man who will be running for the People's Action Movement in number 7. I just want to give you a couple of reminders that tomorrow morning, God's Spear Live, Carl Brown will be my guest at 106.5. Before we cross over to Sakoti for a song, and then I'll bring back Lincoln to go a little deeper into what I intend to do here with him, I want to read a couple things to you towards the Governor General, and I hope he's listening. In chapter 5, 52.2 of the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis, it states, whenever the Governor General has occasion to appoint a Prime Minister, he shall appoint a representative who appears to him likely to command the support of the majority of the representative. Remembering, folks, we don't vote for a Prime Minister. We vote for representatives. So I have a couple questions to ask Tapley Seaton this evening. 1. Before appointing Timothy Harris as Prime Minister in 2020, did you ask any of the elected representative if they supported Harris as Prime Minister? 2. Did you consult or have any discussion with the elected representative as to whom they support as Prime Minister? Number 3. How did you arrive at the decision that the majority of the elected representatives supported Timothy Harris if you did not consult with them? Folks, don't take these questions that I'm putting to Tapley simple, you know. These are genuine questions. Number 4, did you simply take instruction from Timothy Harris and arrange to swear him in as Prime Minister? 5, did the representatives go along with your decision after you appointed Timothy Harris in order to avoid confusion and possible bloodshed in the country? We move on. 6, don't you have Sean Richards to thank for keeping the people of the country peaceful and avoiding riots in the street after election? 7, are you simply a rubber stamp to anything Timothy Harris tell you to do? Final one. 8, do you think it is time for you to resign and go home? This is just some of the questions I have to ask Tapley, because remember, I was reliably informed that he's thinking in taking me to the court. And I just want to say here again on Win FM 98.9 tonight, I am not afraid of the Governor General. The Governor General accept the instrument of appointment as Governor General, but in my humble opinion, he has not fulfilled his appointment to the best of his ability. And you can tell him what I say. Let's go to Sakoti, and we'll come right back to Lincoln David Pell. Don't study the words when he say Carlton Dupont. Just listen to the setup on the song.
What is right? He has no fear standing alone. He'll take on any fight, prepared to stand on his own. He puts love of country above love of self, standing ready to serve from a sense of duty above all else. No matter who it on love, he will never give his word, then take it back, like some have done recently. He is Mr. Accountability, so vote DuPont in number 3. Call him Mr. Accountability, then vote DuPont in number 3. Hey, hey.
The Bible says when you give your word, you have to keep your word.
When we find leaders who betray our trust, it's left to the voters to do what we must. It's time to go back to the electorate and draft a new mandate. DuPont presents himself as a candidate, starting with a clean slate. He will never give his word, then take it back. You can trust him implicitly. Call him Mr. number 3. He's Mr. Accountability. So vote DuPont in number 3. Hey.
Turn to Matthew chapter 5. Keep it there till the song finished.
Your word is your bond. Your word is all that you got. And if you can't keep it, well, this says quite a lot. This open political frenemy is a black eye to this country. So it's time for political maturity, starting with DuPont in number 3. He will never give his word, then take it back. You can trust him implicitly. Call him Mr. Accountability and vote DuPont in number 3. He is Mr. Accountability, so vote DuPont in number 3. Hey.
So you know, when I asked Sakoti to make that song, I had intention to run in number 3, but now I'm putting my full support behind Myla Box to win that seat. In the Bible book of Matthew chapter 5 verse 37, the Bible said, just let your word yes means yes, your no, no. For what goes beyond these is from the wicked one. Turn with me to James chapter 5 verse 12. You see, I love the Bible because the Bible is the greatest teacher. And any one of us who live a life, even in spite of the fact that we could never be perfect, once we live a life guided by the scriptures, our life must be better than the normal guy. So in James 5:12, the Bible says, listen carefully, above all, my brothers, stop swearing either by heaven or by earth or by any other oath, but let your yes mean yes and your no, no, so that you do not become liable to judgment. Let's go back over to the board to Lincoln. Lincoln, you know what amazed me? I have some other questions to ask you, but let's touch this now since we're dealing with the Bible. And my understanding is that you're a church goer. I am so disappointed with the action of Timothy Harris. Why? He said he would like to serve 2 terms as Prime Minister. It's obvious that something went wrong in the first round. However, Mark Brantley and Sean Richards constantly say they gave it a chance to work. But at this time, they had to stop it. With the amount of church service and church attendance the former Prime Minister attend, don't you think the church system could have at least helped him to grab hold of himself, having started the second term, humble himself and come to some agreement with those 2 other leaders?
Well, that was what everyone would have liked to happen, because at the end of the day, an agreement is an agreement. And if you're dealing with the children of God, you know how God deals with Israel and persons. So that should be an example. However, it didn't happen. It's in the past and it's going forward. What we are going to do? I am here to bring change for my constituency and for the nation of St. Kitts and Nevis in general. Let's say, for example, I mentioned how my mother brought us up and the community. And that used to be the thing of the day. So even though I'm not seated in the office right now, I would like to help right now. I'm encouraging. I'm not saying you have to do the exact same thing as what my mother did, because everyone are different and unique in their own way. But at the end of the day, I've come across many persons who would say it is my child, and at the end of the day, they're not really taking good control of the child, and we have a problem in society. I'm just encouraging mothers, even fathers as well. This is my help to you right now, because this is a situation we have now. Do not try to raise your children or child by yourself. The father is there. If the father is not there, whether overseas that his or her brothers are here. You have brothers and sisters. You have your parents here. Let us raise our children with the extended family. Because you know what? If you leave it for yourself, you're going to burn out. And that is why the sports organization, that's what they're for, to give that second boost. That is why I am in sports, to help. Even the police, that is what the police, yes, the police, some people might say, but the police, yes, the police. The police is not just to arrest people, but to also give guidance to persons, to keep people away from committing crimes. And at the end of the day, so this is my help, immediate help right now, as I usually do, to advise especially mothers. Do not think you can do it alone. You need help. Let us help each other to bring up our children, because at the end of the day, it is for our future. None of us were born old or of age. We started small. So one day those children are going to reach our age, and you're going to get older. So if we don't bring them up right now in the way they should go, we will have a problem. Now we come, and all that is a part of my plan, what I have. I know we spoke of my plan when we had our first talk, and I come here tonight to let persons know. My plan is very, very ambitious. And from my plan that I laid out, I'm going to tell you something, my aim. At the end of the first 5 years of my term, I am hoping and I'm planning and I want to achieve, with the help of everyone, but with the plans that have been implemented and with the cabinet, to get this done for me in my constituency. And not only get it in my constituency, we could get it done in the country. At the end of the first 5 years of our term, and myself being the representative for Constituency 7, at the end of that 5 years, I would want to take at least, it could be more, but at least 500 persons out of poverty. This is a different thing that you might have ever heard before. I don't think I ever hear anyone mention this before. We have persons in our community that need that help. And we use different words to describe them. I do not want you to depend on me or to depend on anyone to give you anything. The Bible itself said that. Teach the man how to fish. Teach him as opposed to give him. But however, if persons ask, give, because out of your kindness we have. But what I want to do, based on my plan, my temporary plan that I have, and coupled with government's plan, when we get in office, is to try to get at least 500 persons in my community out of poverty. We already have a plan. I mentioned them when we were with you at Freedom FM. And tonight, I'm going to go more in depth to explain some of them what we're going to achieve. I've already spoke with my team, with my campaign manager on my team, what it is. And, of course, all the other candidates have their plans, and a lot of them are similar, and we will get it done. But since I'm here representing the great constituency of number 7, I just want my constituents to know I am here to work for us, and help me to help you get at least 500 persons out of poverty. Let us build our constituency.
That would include getting loans for them and helping them to manage their loans. And because the reason why I ask you this is because today it appeared to me like many young people in St. Kitts, they are not careful in terms of channeling their money well. So in your plan to bring the 500 people out of poverty, does it have anything inside there that would offer them loan to help them to go up, and you'll be helping them to go inside there, talking to them, getting to know exactly what they're into in order to get out of poverty?
Yes, Mr. Dupont. We have an economic plan. Also, coupled with the economic plan, it's a job plan. Now, with all of this, I'm saying education is key. We have a lot of educated persons in my constituency and in the nation of St. Kitts Nevis in general. But since I'm here to talk about my constituency, because they're the ones who are going to get me inside. But I also want the other persons to know, my colleagues, you have to support them to get them inside for all this plan to come through.
I like
and it
that.
will come through. One, we are too centralized when it comes to certain things. Just let me go back to the past to the persons who understand. You remember the day when we have gas stations around the island?
I remember.
Everything is now centralized in Bastille. We want to get that done. Because by removing that, that was employment for one or two persons, take away from our communities. Fortunately, Keanu would have got back a gas station, and it's employment for others. So my economic plan is to the persons, we have persons who are tailors. We want to get that started or good. We have persons who are farmers. I've already spoken to a lot of farmers in my constituency, and I've spoken to them about plans. Now I'm not going to go too much into it, but I let them know. We will assist them because I don't know if you remember, we used to have ship produce to St. Martin. Remember the breadfruit, the sweet potato, the nuts and so forth?
I remember.
Right, those were economical to us. Even the sugar, unfortunately, is gone. But you remember this period for the sugar? If my memory serves me right, I think it was not full year. But at the end of the harvest, guaranteed $30 million. Just from the sugar, not even from the byproduct, which is molasses. But come back to my plan. Is to make sure we have economic development from qualified persons in my constituency to start their own business. And of course, loans will be coming in. We're going to encourage, we're going to facilitate, because our national political leaders have plans for the development of our people. But because I'm here talking to my constituents, I want you to know this is my plan. And I'm the only one for now mentioned about trying to get at least 500 persons out of poverty. We will go to each village in my constituency, see their needs. However, agriculture is a big thing, whether it be produce or animals. And we're going to help our farmers. I've already given some of them, you see I'm not in the office yet, and you could ask some of them. I already gave them ideas how they can get it done. And they said, you know what, I never think of it that way. Some of them said they never think of it that way. But if you, according to the scriptures, a house against itself cannot what?
Can't stand.
Can't stand.
Yes.
And that is what I find with our farmers. They're competing too much against each other, as opposed to say, let us see what we can do to make it better for each and every one of us. We have enough businesses here as well. They can sell the produce too. And like I tell them, concentrate on farming. I'm going to help them now again. Those of you who are not in my constituency, but at least you can go to my colleagues and they will be able to help you. If you concentrate on farming and leave the selling of your produce to someone else, you will see how you get your farm go.
When it comes to your campaign, have you had anybody campaigning since you started your campaign?
Yes, sir.
Very aggressive to you? Because number 7 has always supported Dr. Harris for about 5 elections. What about any confrontation with anybody?
Well, no, not at this time.
That's a good sign.
The oldest thing I had was a gentleman. I asked him if I could, I have to get permission first. If I could come onto his property to speak with him, he said no.
That's all right.
I asked him, sir, then is it possible you would like to listen to me? He said no. I said, anyhow, it is my duty still to speak and let you know I'm the parliamentary representative, I'm calling myself parliamentary representative already, for Constituency 7 for the People's Action Movement. And I know you don't want to listen, but I'm going to let you know. I have some plans, and I want to have development. The national leader has some plans for the party in general, and we want to help you. At the end of the day, I know from what your gestures and so forth, you may not be for my party, but I'm still asking for your vote. He listened. That's the only resistance I think I would have ever gotten. But at the end of the day, when we were leaving, I took our horn and he waved his hand. So at least he listened.
Oh.
So I just want to thank him for that.
That's wonderful.
I want to thank him for that. And I hope that he will be listening to this program like this when I'm speaking. So he could understand my mission is to help. I've been helping all the time because I've been helped by a lot of people. And I've been helping all the time. I do not have as much as some persons, but even giving you word of advice, even giving you a hug, because I have done that already. I'm walking down the road, I see someone that look, I said, something look wrong with you. Do you mind giving you a hug? I said, yes. Give them a hug, they don't want to let me go. And they said, you know what, you don't even know how much this hug means to me. And I said, okay, give God thanks.
Nice. Well, we'll cross over to the board. We'll play something from Singing Jackie, and we'll be back shortly to continue this lovely interview with Lincoln David Pell, the PAM candidate in number 7, going up against Timothy Harris. Let's play Singing Jackie. Pay attention to the lyrics of this song. The name of it is Mass Wearers. What a sad thing in our country. I can't believe what this country have become to. After we fought so much.
Every time I turn on the TV or the radio, I can't believe the things that I see and hear. Whether the problems happening here or pass out a stream they go, no island could say they're not getting their share. Nowadays nothing could face me, and like you too I felt I could no longer be shot. But more and more like mankind gone crazy, and all round the clock they're running amok. You can't tell the crooks from cops. Why people are wearing masks to hide what they're doing. I set our wolves in sheepskin, posing as good citizens. You know they're wearing masks when actions and words don't match. No let the fakes might fool you. Watch the things that they do. It's not an easy task to tell who wearing masks, but don't let the dress code fool you. Watch the things that they do. Beware of mask wearers. They are pretenders who act like they are good Samaritans. The true identities of some of these mask wearers are people we hold in high esteem.
Go ahead, Jackie.
The co-workers, your boss, or even next door neighbors. Man is ashamed to find they're not what they seem. Some get away for years without none the wiser. For like Jekyll and Hyde, you can't tell their true character. Some use as cover lofty profession, while the main intention fleece everyone and exploit the system. Why people are wearing masks to hide what they're doing. I set our wolves in sheepskin. Faking is you they're helping. You know they're wearing masks when actions and words don't match. Don't let their fakes might fool you. Watch the things that they do. It's not an easy task to tell who wearing masks, but don't let their dress code fool you. Watch the things that they do. Beware of
15 minutes after 9 o'clock.
they'll wish you well, and
I like some of the things you folks sending on the phone to me. You know who you are. Someone just sent Ecclesiastes 8:11. I know what it means. Let's go back to Jackie. Listen this verse.
gone are the days when man word was a contract, and my swearing was just for revelry. Gone are the days when you could literally turn your back without fear of foul play or injury. From where I stand, I see man get meaner. Don't care the summits that help to bring people closer. And I ain't seen no big and bright future for the same peacemakers, amass wearers, and just empty talkers. Yeah.
Again, I want you to know that I have in studio with me, live here at Win FM 98.9, Lincoln David Pell. Someone just suggested to me Ecclesiastes 8:11. It is one of my favorite scripture. Let's read it. Ecclesiastes 8:11 says, "Because sentence against a bad deed has not been executed speedily, the heart of man become emboldened to do bad." Now, look at the article I pick up today from the Kingdom Hall. It reads, "What does the Bible say about taking of an oath?" It says, "An oath has been defined as a solemn formal declaration or promise to fulfill a pledge, often calling on God as witness. It may be oral or written." The reason why I pulled this from my bag a while ago is because many people in St. Kitts who back in Timothy Harris called down the Charlestown Accord. But you can't do that. A pledge is even with your mouth. You could even tell a man, look, you lend me this $500, I'll give you back next week Saturday. Anything we do in life and we promise. That is why I was so impressed with Lincoln when we met over at 106.5. He said one of the things he don't like is promising. He will tell you he'll see if he can, and that's the best way. You know one of the things I hate about politician? Do you know what the word politician mean? A person who acts in a manipulative and devious way to gain advantage. So the action of Timothy Harris will kill the spirit of other people who have good intention to come into politics. That is why I'm surprised Lincoln is in politics, because I have seen him from a young guy going up without him knowing. I look at the work and his performance in the police force. Good. And a good example as well. So let's go back to him. Lincoln, we're back with you.
Yes,
I want to say something I pick up about you, and it captured me because I'm not seeing it with the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party speaking about Nevis. Now, one of the things that concerned me most with Nevis is many years ago when a check was stopped at the bank to give Nevis their money. And it's so disgusting when you think about Nevis. All of you on the campaign trail who just joined PAM, the Mile Box, the young lady up in number 1, Chesley Hamilton, yourself, the other young man who running in number 6, you all start talking about Nevis. Nevis. If you listen to a labor meeting, some people are going to get angry now, but I don't really study that. You will never hear any one of them on the campaign trail speaking about what are we going to do from Nevis. For instance, you hear the word geothermal. Geothermal. If Timothy Harris was serious, Nevis could have had that $60 million, which we have in the treasury, develop, keep the geothermal working. We never know what could have happened. The experiment could have gone on, and today, with gas prices up in the air, geothermal could have been a great benefit not only to Nevis, but also to St. Kitts. So one of the things I want you to know, I'm impressed with you and all the others, is already you all start to incorporate Nevis. So do you believe within yourself, if you ever get a chance to sit in the government, you'll be concentrating on making sure that Nevis get their fair share?
Well, Mr. Dupont, it's not if I'm already in Parliament. Because this is a journey that you will see. However, I must then say, if a lot of persons do not realize it by now, I'm a federalist. I believe in my country, St. Kitts Nevis, like I was said on a program before, and I keep saying, there's no country in this world named St. Kitts, and there's no country in this world named Nevis. If you check the passport, you'll see it marked St. Kitts and Nevis, or St. Christopher and Nevis. Therefore, all the plans I have here, yes, it's based on my constituency, but I will hope at the end of the day, each and every member of the government, the cabinet, will recognize that this can go for the entire nation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Because at the end of the day, like I tell people when they come to St. Kitts, Nevis, if you haven't been to Nevis as yet, you haven't been to the country as yet. You have just been to part of it. And remember, the federal government is responsible for the development of the entire nation. Fortunately for Nevis, the Nevis Island Administration is responsible for developing Nevis according to what the Constitution give it. Because remember, the Constitution says what the Nevis Island Administration is responsible for and what the federal government is responsible for. So therefore, those persons are responsible for developing not just Nevis, those who sits in the federal parliament and from Nevis, they are responsible for developing St. Kitts as well. Because their programs, when they're in cabinet, is for the federal structure. And that is why I like to talk about the Constitution, because there are a lot of persons who do not understand what the Constitution is all about. But my development plan is for economic development in my constituency. We have a lot of tourism sites, the old estates and so forth. These are tourist sites. Even Black Rocks, I have plans for Black Rocks. The old estates, we have plans for them. They can be tourist sites. And therefore, just like how even before I even think about running in politics, we had a group, a large group, and we recognized the farmer sugar workers from Borio to Brighton. Of course, we went to government for help. Unfortunately, we didn't get the support we wanted. However, the Governor General at the time was Sir Cuthbert Sebastian, and when I spoke with him, and I said, sir, it would be an honor if you could grace that gathering and do the presentation. He said, no, it is my honor to come and do that. And therefore, he's one of the persons who helped groom me, listening to him and so forth. So therefore, my plans that I have for economic development, for tourism and so on, also include jobs, because if you have economic boom, I'm talking about every single person who in my community who has a skill. You come back from master's degree, whatever you have, you do not have to have your office in Bastille. You could have it in Lodge. You could have it in Atlas. You could have it in Bowie. You could have it in Molyneux, in Phillips. Anyway, my constituency. But however, this plan is not just for my constituency. Yes, it come out of my constituency, but you could be in Charleston, you could be in Gingerland, and you do not have to just develop Gingerland, because you know what? Just like how the UK, the US could say how many cities they have. Remember how many towns we have in St. Kitts? You remember the old towns? Why can't we develop those towns up? Everything is now centralized in Bastille. And by doing that, we're taking away economic development from the entire nation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So my plans is about that. Give the person, and you know what? Even with this economic development plan, it also having schooling, because I've been through my constituency, and there are some schools in that area. They might close, or they might have to put 3 schools to make 1, because everybody seems as if they're coming to Bastille, and therefore one of my plans when it comes to economic development and jobs, it also speaks to education as well, is to have persons go to school as much as possible in the area where they live and they have school. So the persons from Tabernacle, especially primary school, you have a primary school in Tabernacle, why not go to the primary school? Or else that building will just, you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Also, in Mansion, if they don't go to the school there, you have a problem, which is Estridge School. You see where I'm coming from? And there are some other schools like that, where you have this population of children. I'm not sure if it's because persons are not getting children. I'm not sure what it is. But it has to be a reason, and we have to investigate why. Because at the end of the day, we're going to go back to where, are we going to go where we're just centralizing everything in Bastille, and then it costs, the bus fare costs. So you see what I'm talking about with economic and social thing?
I'm reading you.
If we could get the children stay where they live, the parents don't have that extra money to spend to take them to Bastille. It costs. You might say, but I want my child to go to Bastille because I want Bastille. But what happened? It costing you. Unless you have a vehicle, but it still will cost you somewhere or the other. And therefore, all my plans is for our nation. St. Kitts and Nevis. The Constitution dictates, and it's a legal and binding document. And if persons do not know, because it is legal and binding, if the federal government fail to comply to what the Constitution says, to give Nevis what is own, the Nevis Island administration can sue the federal government. They take him to court. It might sound strange because person not studied it, but you should know any legal document and is breach, any agreement and is breach, court action could come in, and vice versa. The federal government could sue the local Nevis Island administration in case something go wrong as well.
Let's move on to something very touchy.
Yes, sir.
Have you been listening to or have you heard of any of the rumors pertaining to the voters list and the intention of people coming in, getting passport? You seem to be a very quiet guy, very, very quiet from the time I've known you. Have you heard of any of these things? And if so, any concerns? Have you heard about those who came in today? Well, it has been alleged that 71 people came today, and every one of them had a St. Kitts Nevis passport, brand new. These things concern you at all?
Mr. DuPont, I must then say, something like that will concern me. However, it shouldn't happen if it is done illegally, because, like you said, I like to keep it to the Constitution. I like to keep it straightforward.
Yep.
You know, but at the end of the day, if it is done illegally, it should not happen. It is wrong. However, unfortunately, I'm not sure how much our DPP will be willing to get involved. Because at the end of the day, anything illegal like that, it's a breach of the law. It's a breach of the Constitution. So if it is true, and it is a breach and a breakdown in the law, however, how will we know but an investigation to actually get the truth? But it's concerning because then an investigation will have to find out many things to find out if the procedure was breached and things like that.
Listening to Sean, you're a very educated guy. Listening to Sean this evening, part of his speech was, we have to brace ourselves for stormy waters ahead. Are you aware that this campaign could have legal implication because the way I see it is that Timothy Harris understands clearly that he can't win the election just by convincing petitions and divisions. So he has taken another route. But are you aware that we can have some serious court issues going forward in this election campaign?
Well, for one, support peace. And the right way to make sure peace is the court is there for injustices. So anything that is wrong is done wrong. That's what the court is for. However, I have the faith in God.
Amen.
And I know that there are more persons in St. Kitts and Nevis than whom I come in. And at the end of the day, the persons in our country, St. Kitts and Nevis that is, know what time it is. It is a time to make sure we are back on path. Those of us, I'm calling on the churches. I'm calling, yes, the Rasta men as well, because you have a belief. Because my cousin I spoke about, he was a Rasta man. And Mr. Dupont, I'm sure you might, I don't know if you remember, the Rasta men who I know before, they used to be in the Bible all the time.
All the time.
I'm not sure what changed now, but they used to be in the Bible. So therefore, they have the belief as well. And even if you don't believe in anything, at least you know what is right and what is wrong.
So you have the confidence, like me then, that no matter what he tries to do, he would not be prime minister after this election.
He will not be prime minister and he will not be a representative in parliament. you're looking at the representative for constituency number 7.
I kind of like hear you say that.
At the end of the day, Mr. DuPont and all my listeners, saying Kitts and Nevis, I know because it is embedded in our constitution. We are based upon the belief in God. And even though there's some over the years, some people might have strayed, just like the nation of Israel. They turn some ways, and God bring back someone to bring them back to Him. St. Kitts and Nevis was once dubbed the most prosperous nation, not in the Caribbean, but in the world. And my plan, economic plan, jobs plan, social plan, is about making us prosperous. And that is why I'm so bold in saying at the end of my first 5 years in Parliament as a representative for Constituency 7, I want to take at least 500 persons out of poverty. And therefore, my constituents, I'm calling upon you. Let your conscience be your guide. And just elect Lincoln David Pell.
Praise the Lord.
At the end of the day, I mentioned my motto. Getting it done with Lincoln.
I like it.
Let us get it done. We know what we have to get done. Put the People's Action Movement and CCM in power. At the end of the day, whatever concern you have, we will get it done. I've already spoken to the farmers in my constituency, and I, just like what I said here tonight, I gave them ideas that they could take and run with immediately. Some of them said, thank you very much, I was not even thinking about that. And one of the advice I gave them is to just, if you're in farming, concentrate on farming. Because if you concentrate on farming and selling, you might neglect one. Sell it to someone and let the person sell it. You would have made what you've already made. Let the person make his profit. And that's what business is all about. If you concentrate on trying to have the produce and still sell it, you might run into a problem. So you see, I'm already helping my constituents. Amen. And then the nation as a whole. And at the end of the day, I want us to come back. Like I told one of the gentlemen, he have a farmers group in my constituency, and I told him, will try. I will talk to my leader, Honorable Sean Richards, who is the national political leader, and the next Prime Minister. As a matter of fact, he's the Prime Minister because if I have to look at the Constitution, the way it sits, he has the majority support, so he's supposed to be the sitting Prime Minister right now. And there's nothing wrong about that. If I'm wrong from the Constitution.
Amen.
And that's what the Constitution says. And therefore, I am not wrong.
So I want you to stay on at least 10 more minutes. I want us to go to the board, play a song. When we come back, we will deal with a little bit of constitutional reform and to show to the country the failure of Dr. Harris' leadership pertaining to some of the things that I will read. Let's go back to the board. The Chief Magistrate, the Brother Leclerc, Kittition and the Vision, fight on for your country, fight on. I love this song so much. Lincoln will be here to wrap up right after.
Politicians stand and fight and strive to defend your native land against oppression and strife in life. Every man join hand in hand. Shake off the shackles of your mind. Attack the deadly task. Sacrifice your life, no compromise. Fight for poverty and shame. Uphold your country's name. Wipe out all deformities from your communities. Long live to those who fight in the battle, and to those who have fallen before, and to those enduring the struggle. struggle, freedom fighters in galore. Even though we are outnumbered, I'm surrounded on every side. Like men, we will face those cowards and defend our national pride.
Listen this verse.
Corruption is a vice like lice. Can suck my country dry. Country above self. And this will increase your consciousness. Selfishness and greed springing like a weed, prostituting the country vehemently give rise to drugs and crime. Many towing that line. Good example.
David, your brother listening you.
Of the noblest kind. Long live to those who fight in the battle, and to those who have fallen before, and to those enduring the struggle, freedom fighters in galore. Even though we are outnumbered, I'm surrounded on every side. Like men, we will face those cowards and defend our national pride.
Oh, Lincoln, we are back, and I want you to know your brother Junie is listening. I received a call from him just now, and he said it is so wrong how we using our passport. Lincoln, let's go back to this. One of the most amazing thing about Timothy Harris that scare me is this. While so many people speak about Sean Richards and Mark Brantley staying so long to make things work, could you imagine this in my hand is the Treaty of National Unity, and had we stayed course with these and Timothy Harris live up to the standard that life's supposed to be, it would have been so hard to move the unity setup. Look what we are seeing here. In the promise, the new unity government will table amendments to provide for and or strengthen civil, political, social, and economic rights as may be required to include, but not limited to, listen some of these, safeguard against the abuse of power. Same thing Timothy Harris doing now. Freedom of the press. Freedom of information. Integrity in public life. Eradication of corruption in government. Maybe we could mention a couple more. Fix election date for national and local election. Maybe we could stop. Term limit for Prime Minister. There are so many things. It's all well to writing on paper though, but politicians continue to fail our people when they write and don't live up to what were written. What are your thoughts on what I've read?
Well, Mr. Dupont, and to my listeners, that is why, for me, I will keep promise if I have control over it. But when it comes to a government, what we say we're going to do, I will be there to agitate, because at least I will have to come up to my constituents. And that is why I'm coming with a new, not really new, but the way I think these things should be done. Because at the end of the day, I am responsible to my constituents, because they're the ones who put me here. Then I'm responsible to the party who I'm with and to the cabinet. So at the least, if we say we're going to do something, we should do it. Even if it will take, but sometimes, let's say, 5 years, we could start something, if we say we're going to do something. But priority should come also. Priority must always be the guiding light. And some of the things you mentioned are good, and they should have come in between. Other things came, but at the end of the day, that is why my programs that I have will be able to adjust some of those things. So I am not so versed with what all you have there. But like I said, if you agree to do something, at least you should try to do them. If you cannot do them, then you should come back and say, why? So I will leave that for my other colleagues who are more versed with what is there. But that's just my take, because you asked me a question, so I answered you.
All right, look.
So
going forward,
yes,
though.
sir.
Going forward, though, could you imagine the people in number 7 elect you? Could you imagine the work? You mentioned 500 people
Yes, sir.
coming out of poverty. Could you imagine the work with whatever ministry you have that you can do, not just in 7, but all around the country? What we need in St. Kitts and Nevis is politicians who will be serious in doing what they say. And it feels good hearing you. But what about those who will say to you, is all well talking, but we heard Timothy saying 2 terms for Prime Minister. They tried to pass it in the first round. Some of the Labour members in Parliament did not vote for it. Second time around, he had enough votes on his side. Still not coming forth. I mean, what you going to do when people confront you with these things and say it's just a matter of talk?
Well, you see, that is why, for me, I will look at the rules governing Parliament. Because I know there are some countries you have other members could bring certain bills as well. So I will want to know all my rights as a parliamentarian to bring bills. Because if something lagging, well, I would, touch my colleagues. Well, okay, we said we're going to do this. Let's try to get it done. Let's try to get it done. Let's try to get it done. Therefore, I will advise them, and even myself, I would advise myself. If I'm saying I'm going to do something, at least give it over a period of time. Because if you look at some countries, they say over a period of 5 years, over a period of 20 years. So at least we should say something to let them know that, okay, we said we're going to do something, but at least we said we're going to do it over a period of how many years? Because if I say I'm going to do something in 5 years, I'm going to work hard to do it. And that is why I give myself this thing about 500 people, because I'm going to work hard. It doesn't matter where I work. It is my constituency, and they are the ones who. So even though I'm in charge of a ministry, the fact is I'm still responsible to develop my constituency, because they are the ones who voted for me. So let's suppose I go back to my planning for, let's say, I mentioned roads. Whenever the government or Parliament, because, let me say this before times run out. Government includes every single one who sits in Parliament. That's the legislature. So those of you who do not know, they are the legislature, because the branches of government, legislature, executive, and judiciary. So everybody who sits in Parliament is a part of government. And therefore, when we agree we're going to do roads, and it costs, let's say, $50 million, I will ask the question in supporting the bill, how much of that money will come for roads in my constituency. So what I'm saying, I'm coming with a new thing that it might have happened before, but I do not know. But as far as I know, I have never heard anything like that where, yes, I'm going to support a bill, but at the end of the day, I want to make sure my constituency, we're going to do a road network. Okay, I have some roads in my constituency. I would like to see some roads get fixed. Because at the end of the day, it's the development of the country.
Would you be looking forward to make sure the breakdown of money? Because it seemed to me money spending in this country like wildfire.
Well, you see, I will say, based on how I'm looking at it, and I kind of understand what it is. It is the responsibility of every representative to find out what their constituency is going to get. Because you know what, it's the development of the entire nation, but if you only focus on one section, you have neglect, and then you have certain things. Now, I would even like to say, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with the Canadian and the UK Parliament, they have something they call Prime Minister Question Time.
I know about it.
I would like we have something like that, because at the end of the day, it let everyone know exactly what is coming to their constituency, and it brings up, it brings everything up. And that's what I'm talking about. Even with my constituency, all these things is to bring up the entire nation.
Are you ready? Let's move on. Are you ready when the bell rings? Whenever that happens, with the confrontation coming up between Harris and yourself, because you know you're going to get some word.
Well, you see, at the end of the day, it is not, we are in actually, I have two worthy opponents, I must say it this way. Because at the end of the day, we are in a democracy, and the Constitution said as long as you're a certain age, you could even have independence. So there shouldn't be any aggressiveness. We should do everything in peace. Because you know what, we are all vying for the same office to say what we're going to do for the same thing to develop our constituency.
Yes.
But I believe I am the best at this time.
Amen.
And therefore, I know my constituents. You walk into my constituency, I know my constituents is going to vote for me. And I know my colleagues will be voted in when that day come. Because look here, for example, Mr. Dupont and my listeners. When I'm speaking about road development, I'm not just talking about developing the roads. I'm talking about having, yes, we have some of them, but in throughout my constituency, I want to see fire hydrants are properly marked. So just in case there's a fire, and I'm calling my constituents, when you're parking your vehicle, park them properly, especially if you have fire hydrants. Because at the end of the day, we want safety for all of us. So this is what I'm talking about with the development of roads. Also with the roads, we're talking about all the utilities that's supposed to be going inside there. Proper lighting of our streets and our roads. This is what I'm talking about.
Let's go across to the board and let's play a little something about your opponent. Let's go. Just 30 seconds.
30 seconds. As I said last night, Jupont, you cannot make a palatable omelette with rotten eggs. Timothy Harris and PLP are rotten eggs. We brought cheese from Neves. We brought the vegetables and whatever else, whether you want ham in your omelette or bacon or whatever from Pam and from here. And then you brought PLP, which was supposed to be the eggs. But you cannot make an edible omelette with rotten eggs. And that is why we have to get rid of the rotten eggs and therefore move forward as a movement, because it's going to smell bad and it's going to taste bad. And that is what you all were calling a concoction or a smoothie was really trying to bring together a good golden omelette. And it has failed because Timothy Harris is a rotten egg.
Well, Chesley, hot boy. So let's go back to the board and we want to play this. We come into the end of this interview with my brother Lincoln David Pell. Let's go back to Chesley. Chesley's Dwyer Astafan is someone who I respect. But many occasions he going after Sean. So anybody who goes after Sean comes after me. So let's go to the board and play this. Dwyer Astafan does a program on this radio station, and he's extremely critical of Sean Richards. Why Dwyer Astafan keep peddling this notion because this station has the biggest following in the world as a radio station in St. Kitts Nevis. Why is he doing that to the People's Action Movement? And when he wants to talk about Brantley and the two gentlemen over there with him, he say all of them. What's going on with Dwyer?
Question. You see, Labour cannot form the government without the leader winning his seat. End of story. So leadership matters. Leadership is an issue in this case. So if Sean is said to be a very good leader, it's game, set, match. That's it. So why aren't they saying Drew is a good leader? They're saying Sean isn't. But why aren't they saying Drew is a good leader? Because they can't make the case. They cannot make the case. And here is the case. When Mark Brantley was elected, Sean Kenneth Richards said, I would need to elevate this young man, not just to be a follower, but to be a leader. So Sean allowed Mark to be leader of the opposition. Remember, everybody wanted to know, well, this man just come, how Sean could let him be leader of the opposition. It wasn't that Sean couldn't say, I am the more experienced person, let me be the leader of the opposition. Sean allowed CCM to have the leader of the opposition and took the senator. That's how Juicy got into Parliament, because Sean recognized that he was in Constituency 5 on the west side. Eugene was in Constituency 8 on the Atlantic side, the east side. He wanted somebody in the Bastia area and to help them with matters that are legal, etc., with electoral reform, constitutional reform, secession. All of those things were buzz topics at that time. So he chose Juicy to cover that. So Mark became leader of the opposition. The plan was, once Mark became whether deputy premier or premier, he will then hand over that back to Sean, and then Sean will then be able to shadow straight across, shadow box with Douglas as the leader of the opposition and so on, elevate his status as well. That did not happen. What would have happened there is that if that was done, it would have ended Juicy's career as a parliamentarian, and Sean didn't want that. So Sean said, just leave it as is. So Mark, even as deputy premier, remained the leader of the opposition. Now, do I think that all of these things, in terms of Sean sacrificing and elevating others, sometimes you have to decrease to increase. And Sean knows and understands that. And therefore, that is what Sean has always been doing, elevating others, building a team, so that today he's in the best position to lead. At this juncture, Mark Brantley has the confidence in Sean to say, you lead this movement. And if Mark Brantley could endorse Sean as the leader of the movement, it speaks volumes.
Making me laugh. I feel so good that Mark Brantley saw it fit to join with Sean Richards. We come into the end of this interview with Lincoln David Pell, the member who will be running for Pamin constituency number 7. But let's play this last bit before I go over to him for his closing remarks. It's going to be ready in 10 seconds.
No problem. Go back and play it.
10 seconds.
And listen to the phrase as often as is necessary.
Okay, so it's ready.
I want for the record to reiterate what I said in the beginning, that I only intend to serve 2 terms in the office of the Prime Minister. But I shall always be indebted for the excellent support which the Honourable Sean Richards has provided me over the past 5 years and will provide me as we move forward. And that debt of gratitude, I will repay him as often as is necessary by giving him the best advice and support that I can, because he has earned my trust, my confidence, and he has allowed this government the stability that is required for it to move forward.
Could you, Lincoln, as we wrap up, could you imagine with all what Sean Richards has done for Timothy Harris, he is vigorously trying hard to dethrone Sean Richards. when most people in the country thought that the last person Timothy Harris would have been thinking and going after is Sean Richards. He's the one who say, Sean say it as he sees it. What are your thoughts as you wrap up? Nice having you here this evening. And when you're gone, I will have an hour here to play my song and got some things to read and read a little Bible and enjoy myself, waiting for tomorrow morning, God's Spear Life at 5, and looking for Carl Brown to come and say his piece. Lincoln, it's nice having you. I'll give you a chance to do your closing remarks.
I must then say, Mr. Jupont, and to our listeners, that the Honorable Sean Richards, that is why he's the national political leader. He knows what he's doing. He demonstrated it. And he's doing a good job. And he will do a good job as a Prime Minister. And that is why he has the full support of the One Movement. And that is why he will get there with all of us, but most importantly, getting the job done with Lincoln. Because number 7 is coming home. Number 7 is already home. And I just want to right at this time to thank all the persons in my constituency for giving me the support. And even persons who are not in my constituency, congratulate me, and I tell them, you cannot give me, but give it to one of my colleagues, whoever you are in. But before I go, Mr. Jupont, I just want to say that one of my plans is social plans. And it includes healthcare. And healthcare, not just for St. Kitts, because like I said, it's a federal government. And this will go over to Nevis as well, because Nevis is a part of St. Kitts and the Nevis, and the healthcare will be improved. We will have the experts, because we have a lot of persons in St. Kitts and Nevis who are qualified to do all these things. I do not want to call some doctor's name because I haven't got their permission. But at the end of the day as well, Mr. Jupont, as I go on, coming on different radio programs, I will be giving out my plans. I will go more into that, because remember the first time I just mentioned them. Tonight I'm going more in depth, so it will take a bit longer to go through all of them. But I want to mention as well, when it comes to crime fighting, I'm talking about the police. I'm talking about all the law enforcement. I'm talking about the defense, which is the defense force. I remember when I was in the police force, yes. I was in the SSU, and Coast Guard was a part of it. And we want to make sure we police our seas as well. Remember, we do not manufacture guns here, but we have a lot of them. So we want to make sure these things are tightened up. We want to make sure at the end of the day, our law enforcement persons, they're effective, they're professional, they're getting the job done. Now I want persons to not locking up people. Yes, it's good when they do something wrong, but that means the police are something went wrong. But I want to make the police be in such a position that they prevent things from happening. Prevention is better than cure. Some people look at success of having a lot of people in prison, but to have persons out of prison is more success, because you know what? You prevent persons from stealing someone's things. You prevent someone from killing someone. We cannot get out someone when they die. But that's what we're talking about. And at the end of the day, Mr. Jupont and my listeners, the plans that I have when I come back again, and when I meet Mr. Jupont on another station or any interview I'm going to go more down into my plans. But all I'm saying, at the end of the day, education for our young people is very important. At the end of the day, being fair and to our constitution and to our laws, very important. At the end of the day, I know person might have different views, but God is very important. It is in our constitution. It is in our national anthem. Therefore, we look to God according to these documents and so forth. So let's look to Him. We were once dubbed the most prosperous nation in the world, and as most persons do not know, St. Nevis is punching above its waist, as they will say, as small as we are. But we are very prosperous. Just look around how many persons come here. And we want to make sure prosperity come to our people once again. I sure you remember when water was very cheap, electricity was very cheap, cost of living was very cheap. And therefore we had a lot of money. And when that happened, you should remember. I'm not going to go into that because I was in the past. But we're going into the future. We're talking about making it better. Making it better with this team that we have. The People's Action Movement and CCM. One movement, one team. Going forward. And I'd like to say, Mr. Jupont, to my all listeners, peace be to all of us. And I want to say, let us do this election in peace. There's no need for any violence. There's no need for cheating. There's no need for any wrong thing, but to keep it right. May God bless you all, and may God bless St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you very much. And peace, the peace of Jesus, I leave with all of you.
May you have a safe journey home, and thank you for coming. Let's go to the board, and I'll come back and do the last hour. The Oasis of Love out to Trinidad by Gypsy. Want to thank Lincoln for coming in this evening. Tomorrow, Godspeed Life, Cal Brown will be my guest on 106.5 at 6. I think I would have another guest before Carl for 10 or 15 minutes too.
From the beginning of time, I've been clear in my mind. This world has known more hate than love. And as time go, it multiplied and it grew. Till today we are living in this world that we know. Where because of your color, you can't live with your brother, and religion makes it the same. Our political differences have clouded our senses. We are destroying the world, what a shame. But there's an oasis of love in this desert of hate, and the world seems to be at its crossroads. The difference is you and I, we can find if we try. A place that love floods where hate makes it so dry. Plunging this world in darkness where we can't see that oasis, but we who know love know it's there. So before it's too late, let's rethink our fate. Come on people, let's show that we care. To be able to quite get across. There would always be difference, but it doesn't make no sense to use hate as a form of recourse. Cause if it's hate that we choose, then everyone lose, and this world would be soon laid to waste. There should be more peaceful greetings and more halfway meetings. Let us make this a real peaceful place. Cause here's an oasis of love in this desert of hate.
Look at the devastation Timothy Harris has caused to my country.
You and I, we can find
what a burning shame.
That love floods where he
and look the type of people with whom he associates.
We can't see that oasis, but we who know love know it's there. So before it's too late, let's rethink our fate. Come on people, let's show that we care.
Jonel Powell defeated Marcella Liebert. Now people is telling me he can't defeat those who he running against. Listen this verse. Listen this verse.
Why should we keep on fighting when there's room for uniting? We were meant to coexist in this place. There's enough room for religion. There's enough room for politics. Sure, there's enough room for all race. Of this world we are caretakers, no one is the owner, and of this we must be aware. So why can't we get together and just live with each other? Let's enjoy this world while we are here. There's an oasis of love in this desert of hate, and the world seems to be at its crossroads.
Good evening to Kashroy.
This is you and I, we can find if we try a place that love floods where hate makes it so dry.
Mr. and Mrs. Marshall, good night.
Where we can't see that oasis, but we
good night to Shaggy.
Know it's there. So before it's too late, let's rethink our fate. Come on, people.
Forrest, how you keeping, brother? The folks in Nevis, thank you for listening. Sheila and Larian, good night. Those of you in Europe, I want to thank you for your listenership. Well, last week, so many people brought donation towards this program that I'm having. They're not cheap, But I want to thank WinFM this evening for giving me an opportunity to be on this radio station on Thursday morning from 10 to 12 and on Sunday evening from 8 till 11. Now, folks, to show you that Timothy Harris was never serious about making a difference in this country, listen to this. A document that he signed to. Just listen. The parties agree that the new unity government will, as a matter of urgency, establish a constitutional commission to engage in the widest possible public consultation as a prerequisite to constitutional reform. Keep listening. Notwithstanding the plethora of rhetoric, those of you younger ones who are listening, take up your phone and Google those words, plethora of rhetoric, and you'll see what it means. So imagine we keep speaking about doing certain things, but when the opportunity came along, Timothy Harris just threw it down the door. Timothy Harris never ever had any intention of serving 2 terms in this country as Prime Minister. And he has never had any intention whatsoever in allowing Sean Richards and helping him ever to become the Prime Minister. But come and tell you something, God will cut him around. We cannot escape the consequences of our action, and everything that we do have a penny. Remember, whatever a man sow, he will also reap. And nothing in this world lasts forever. We all have sinned and fall short of God's standard, but some people are so willful. No wonder the Bible says in Job 14:1 and 2, man born of woman is short-lived and glutted with agitation. Like a blossom he has come forth and is cut off. And he runs away like a shadow and does not keep existing. Folks, we must work hard to stick to our words. I am going to be very careful from tomorrow, God spare life, going forward. Any conversation I have with anybody, I don't want to promise them anything. I'll see. I'll look into it. I'll check on it. Because in this world, as we advance in our life, many people think that a promise is no longer vital. A promise is important. You promise somebody something, you got to stick to it. Folks, listen this now. Same document. In the premise, the new unity government will table amendments to provide for and on or strengthen civil, political, social, and economic rights as may be required to include but not limited to, let's bring them up again, some of them. This is a travesty that these things were not done. I could tell you this, if Timothy Harris had any decency at all, had any good approach to fulfilling the requirements of this paper, St. Kitts and Nevis would have been much better off tonight, and we would not have been worrying about 71, it has been alleged, that 71 persons came in on a plane today. Everybody had a brand new St. Kitts Nevis passport. Are they legal or they illegal? I don't know, but I'm saying it has been alleged. Now listen to this. Safeguard against the abuse of power. Freedom of the press. Freedom of information. Integrity in public life. Eradication of corruption in government. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, Wendy Phipps. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, Wendy Phipps investigating Sean Richards. And she don't even have the manners to say, well, I was sent to investigate you. Imagine Wendy Phipps organized $27,000 for Juicy, Byron, and herself, and then recused herself from the meeting as if she didn't know about it, and because it came out, she got angry. I wonder if Wendy Phipps still from Sandy Point. From when Sandy Point to start to act like how Wendy Phipps acting. It is so ridiculous. These are the things Dwyer Astafan should be commenting about more of. That should have been done, and it's okay with me. These things, he mentioned them plenty too. These things should have been done. But listen the problem I have with Dwyer Astafan and many others who are supporting the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. All of a sudden, it seems to me like they have forgotten that this Timothy Harris that we forgave, Brantley, Sean, Big Lice, his brother, Terry Adams, and many others, we forgave him. Richard Keynes. But look what Timothy Harris has become. Timothy Harris will like to be Prime Minister for at least 6 terms. Timothy Harris will like to be a king. Timothy Harris would like to be in a position in St. Kitts Nevis where he called the shots and everything. The paper is in my hand. The treaty, it said the Treaty of National Unity. Look at how nice St. Kitts and Nevis could have been working. Look at how Zook, the minister, the federal minister from Nevis in agriculture, look how he tries best to reorganize and help the guys around here in St. Kitts to do things different. Amazing. We throw away, Timothy Harris has thrown away one of the best opportunities in the world to end up in his political career as a brilliant politician. Timothy Harris was well loved by many people, including myself. Not anymore. Can't support a politician like Timothy Harris. He's a fake. I mean, look at this. Freedom of press, freedom of information, integrity in public life, eradication of corruption in government, rights of recall for non-performing parliamentary representatives, fixed election date for national and local election. Right now under Timothy Harris rule, you don't even know if you could get people in by plane. And somebody told me tonight, since I'm here, that Timothy Harris, when he done get a plane set up and they come in, he will lock down the country so nobody else could get no more plane. Let him try that and he'll see. Let him try that and he'll be able to see clearly what St. Kitts people have to offer. Election not supposed to be done with tricks. Election supposed to be free and fair. Because if you have an election that is free and fair, after the election, the people will get along better with each other, and naturally they would be respecting the views or the opinion or the rights of what the people would have voted for. I'm not a fool. I used to be one. I educate myself. Washington Archibald taught me. Dr. Warner taught me. Soprobin Innis taught me. Richard Keynes taught me. Dwyer Astafan taught me. They all have taught me many things. But along the way, I got God within me to help me to establish a free mind, to use the Bible, because the Bible is useful, it's functional, it's inclined one to action rather than speculation. And when you involve yourself with the Bible, your life functions much better. And the Bible is feasible. Versus a politician who is deceptive and he's a manipulator. Timothy Harris is a manipulator. Let me pause here to say something to the overseas voters. Do not allow Timothy Harris to fool you. Jamaicans, Guyanese, Vincentian, Barbadian, Trinidadians, Dominicans, Grenadians, Haitian, please, wherever you are living in St. Kitts and Nevis, vote for the party called CCM in Nevis, the Blue Machine, or vote for the People's Action Movement. It's a movement. First time we will have genuine unity in this country. We in Nevis have a right to get monies hidden in the treasury that Nevis could have had to finish their hospital and do a lot of roads through alleys and byways. And certain other parts of the island main road needs to be done still. But what Timothy has done? Look at the load of money I give to Mark. He can't manage. Where Timothy don't even know what the word manage means. Never mind to be able to do it better than Mark Brantley. Mark Brantley is a star compared to Timothy.
I have known the Honorable Mark Brantley for all of his life. He always strives for excellence, and he has been successful in most of his endeavors. He has one of the best legal minds in the Caribbean. Some people hate or jealous him for that. He does not fear criticism from his peers or those who try to emulate him but cannot attain. He is a role model for young Nevisians. I am certain that he will use his skill and education to preserve the legacy which our forefathers have bequeathed to us. And these are honesty, self-worth, industry, and an independent mind. To the young people of Nevis, I urge you to protect and defend what your forefathers have achieved for you. Support the Honorable Mark Brantley, and he will make sure of that. You are just as equal as everybody else, and those who would try to tell you otherwise, you know they are not for you. Why should you go to school, pass the same exams, and be treated as below other people when you have the tools in your hands to remedy the situation? There are 4 things that come not back: the spoken words, the sped arrow, the spent life, and the neglected opportunity. Young Nevisians and older Nevisians who have been in this struggle, do not neglect your opportunity. The new NRP has downgraded us to mendicants. Vote for the man who will protect our Constitution. Vote for the man who is fearless and who will not become a political pygmy. Vote for the best. Vote for the Honorable Mark Brantley.
I am telling you, ladies and gentlemen in St. Kitts and Nevis, I love Mark Brantley so much, his style, his approach. A very important person in this country met me a couple days ago and said, look, it must be, I am now convinced that it must be that you are being paid by Mark Brantley. Total rubbish, not even good enough to go to Connery Dump. I have always spoken well about politicians who, in my assessment, have done well for this country. I have always spoken well of politicians who have done well for this country. Timothy Harris is an embarrassment. Timothy Harris is a shame to this country. Folks, let me tell you something what you all don't know. We in for a lot of problems leading up to the election with Timothy Harris, you know, because come, let me tell you something in this country tonight, and I'll further it tomorrow morning if God spare my life. Timothy Harris will do anything, pull down this country and all, in order to try and win an election. What sort of a man is this? And let me ask him something. Timothy, this is Carlton. How your family feel with your dirty, nasty performance as leader of this country? And let me ask you something. How the governor feel to give you the power that you have when you and the governor, you all well know that what the governor did was wrong? Are you hurry up, take me to court now?
Increase the momentum. Increase the momentum. Increase the momentum. Increase the momentum. There's a stake in the country, and his name is Timothy. Tell that scam divisions want their money. He went and signed the treaty down there by the library. Bowling and division is his daddy. The man is a scoundrel, it's plain to see. I hear he teaming up with the NRP. But give all of them this message from me. CCM is the one we want to represent we. We sticking with we CCM party. CCM party to fight for Green City. We sticking with we CCM party. CCM party to remove Timothy. To get all we CBI money.
We sticking with CCM.
We're going to battle with the same tree.
We sticking with CCM.
Alexis Civilian and Brantley.
We sticking with CCM.
There's no other choice that I see. We're sticking with CCM. We're sticking with CCM.
Increase the momentum.
Increase the momentum. Increase the momentum. Increase the momentum. Remember, the party that has been looking out for the best interests of divisions. CCM party. Making sure we get our full share of the CBI money. We sticking with we CCM party. CCM party. The blue machine ready. We sticking with we CCM party. CCM party to bring prosperity. Tell the servant in PLP.
We sticking with
He
CCM.
could even happy the whole treasury.
We sticking with CCM.
The next prime minister he'll never be.
We sticking with CCM.
CCM will be celebrating victory. We sticking with CCM. We sticking with CCM. We sticking with we CCM party. CCM party. The blue machine ready. We sticking with we CCM party. CCM party. The blue machine ready. Increase the momentum. Increase the momentum. Increase.
Let me tell you something that bothers me a lot in this country when it comes to Timothy Harris. Let's go back to the treaty that he signed to. Fix election date for national and local election. Provide a mechanism for a referendum process. Term limit for the Prime Minister. Listen this one though. Conduct of all political parties during an election period. Folks, let's stop there for a couple seconds. Imagine all the gains that we have made. All the years that our forefathers, Robert Bratchett, whatever gains Douglas fought for, Sir Kennedy Simmons, all of the gains that we have fought and were able to achieve or accomplish, Timothy Harris kicked everything through the door. Could you imagine? Up to now, Timothy Harris can't announce an election date. So, we have in an election, we gave a guy 2 terms in office, but he end up now trying to work trick on us, trying to defeat us with lies and deception. Isn't it shocking? Isn't it a shame? But let me tell you something. The Bible said Jehovah himself examined the righteous one as well as the wicked one, and anyone loving violence his soul certainly hates, for Jehovah is righteous, he does love righteous acts. Galatians 6:9 said, do not give up in doing good. You realize David who was here for an hour and a half instead of an hour, he has the confidence that he could win the seat. But Timothy's scared where he is. Timothy can only win his own seat. And that is in jeopardy too. If people serious. I wonder how the people in Constituency 7 feel about Timothy Harris' work, his ethics, or the lack of ethics in this man. Boy, let me tell you, I shame like a dog at 25 minutes past 10. I shame like a dog. I just want to remind you that tomorrow morning, God Spare Life at 6, we might have 2 guests. Bing Charles might be coming to speak with me about 10 minutes. I haven't seen him for such a long time. You remember the superstar Bing Charles, the guitarist? He might be in. But Carl Brown for sure will be in tomorrow morning, God sparing his life, at 6 o'clock, getting the hot seat for the first time on the DuPont Experience program. Now let's go back to this. Review the composition and function of an independent electoral boundaries commission and electoral commissioner. I don't know what to say. I don't know how Timothy Harris could sign to all these things. Establishment of appropriate procedures that are clearly outlined for a vote of no confidence. Let me tell you something, folks. If it wasn't for the goodness of the Speaker of the National Assembly, we would have been in more trouble that we're in today. If Michael Perkins, if that's his right name, I hope I'm not calling his name wrong. May God bless him. He stayed a little long, in our opinion, to act. Nevertheless, he acted appropriately still. Perkins decided that you must call Parliament. And he hurry up, run up to the governor, 6 at a blow, bam! Why, I just went up to the governor, that ignorant, stupid fool. I just went up to the governor, bag of them. But when they went to the governor, 6 of them, there was no bag of them. And it should have been a body slam, but there was nothing. Ridiculous. Democracy is under siege in St. Kitts Nevis. And then some of them don't start to come to BNFM board to report me that I shouldn't be free to speak on this powerful radio station, when those who are coming to complain me, they know, they have the knowledge that this is the same radio station I used to use. Working hard to remove Denzel Douglas from office, and it eventually happened. Imagine one program on Win FM and some people done coming and asking the board and other people to move me off of Win FM. And I paying me money for my broadcast. In a country where freedom is being stifled. And because nobody could stifle me, a lot of people in St. Kitts and Nevis vexed with me because nobody could stifle me and threatening to carry me court. That's all right. I'm ready. This thing get me angry. Look, listen again. Establishment of appropriate procedures that are clearly outlined for a vote of no confidence. Legislate the proper functioning of the Public Accounts Committee. Which part you get them things here? With Timothy Harris as leader. You're crazy now? You must be crazy. Let's go back to the board.
This is serious business. A positive message. I don't like to tell people how to live, but it seemed to me like a good idea that this year my message be positive. One that I wish all of mankind could share. The way how things going now in this world, someone ought to give positive advice. That is why I volunteer for the role. And if you take heed, then life will be nice. Because we have got ourselves to blame for all the problems that we face today. If it is, we must succeed in this game. Everybody listen to what I say. Hey, 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 hey. Stop all the backbiting. Cut out all the fighting. Let us start to think positive. Learn to love your neighbor and assist your brother. Remember, we all have to live. Show a little kindness, strive to aim for justice, and forget about color and race. Restore moral values in domestic issues. Subscribe to these virtues and help to make this world a better place. A better place. A better place. Help to make this world a better place.
I wonder if the Governor General understand that for a long period now, for weeks, we have been hearing things about people getting passport. I wonder if he say anything about if he heard anything just like me. It has been alleged that people are coming in from overseas with brand new St. Kitts Nevis passport. They never come here before. They have never been in St. Kitts before. They're just flying in with new brand St. Kitts Nevis passport. Well, let me ask you something. That is how low St. Kitts Nevis passport has become after it had been one of the best on the top of the world. I wonder if the governor heard anything like me.
If the whole world trend is we have it so, and it's up to us to make it better. What we have to do, everybody know. If we don't buck up, we have no future. Humans have to learn to live together, because as we struggle to get along, one love must be the worldwide endeavor, which is the real message within my song. If it is we want a world without end, there are things everyone must learn to do. Because as I look at the global trend, only one advice I could give to you: don't abuse your children, have respect for women. Let us start to think positive. Promise to be honest and put it in practice. Learn how to forget and forgive. Better to be courteous than to be outrageous. Politeness is a true act of grace. Support law and order and control your temper. Uplift your character and help to make this world a better place. A better place. A better place. Help to make this world a better place.
Listen this now, listen this.
God created man in his own image. Yet how come it's so hard to be godly? Is it because we want to be savage? And that is not how it was meant to be. Time for us to make a positive change. Away with this negative way of life. Let us all conspire to rearrange and say goodbye to confusion and strife. This world can only be a better place. A place where every one of us can live without the turmoil and the great rat race. If we only start to think positive, hey, 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 hey. Thank him who created us for his divine purpose. Let us start to think positive. Tell yourself mentally, I will be somebody, and make it your prime objective. You'd respect your elders and be fair to others. Doing otherwise will be a waste. Get an education and show some ambition. Represent your nation and help to make this world a better place. A better place. A better place. Help to make this world a better place.
What a great song. What a great song out of Barbados, out of Trinidad, I think. Folks, don't forget the press conference tomorrow. Someone called me and told me they have a joint press conference tomorrow at the Marriott with Sean Richards and Mark Brantley. I am happy to hear that. Let me ask you something. People said John L. Powell can win number 2. But how John L. Powell can win number 2 seat when he defeats such a champion for Labour in Marcella Liebert? That don't make sense to me. So John L. Powell will win. Don't forget the press conference tomorrow. Lincoln David Pell should be home by now. It has been alleged that 71 people arrive on a plane today with all brand new passport. And Carl Brown will be on my program tomorrow morning at 106.5. He comes on around 6 o'clock. I want to give God praise and thanks. And I want to say thanks to the people in St. Kitts and Nevis for your magnificent support of my business. Thank you. Folks, I want to say thanks to the police officers for the St. Kitts and Nevis Police Force for the excellent job they did at the music festival. I observed them for hours every night without saying anything to them. The police officers at the music festival did a magnificent job. I hope they will be rewarded. I want to thank the organizers of the music festival for putting off such a magnificent festival. Last night was a massive crowd. The first night was a massive crowd. The only night I think the crowd went down was the second night. That's what I heard. But I can see. I was able to look on. And what was nice, somebody offered me a ticket to go inside, but I declined because I don't go to those things. I want to thank God for life. And those of you who are getting married, don't forget you don't have to buy $6,000 and $7,000 wedding bands. You can bring $2,500 to the store and I'll get you a wedding set for the two of you. I'm doing a special now and a lot of people latching on to it. You're over in Nevis, you would like to get married? Just bring $2,500. I'll work with you with a nice wedding set. Wedding band for you, wedding band for the lady. It'll last the rest of your life. Those of you who have gold and you would like cash for gold, don't forget you could come to the store. But I'm not taking the gold from everybody. I cool down for a while because many people call me and told me their homes have been broken into. Folks, do not look for easy money in life. I want to thank the people in St. Kitts and Nevis for supporting me so big last week in business. Lots of watches. You got $300? You want to buy your husband or your girlfriend a nice watch? Bring $300. You want to upgrade it? Bring $5. I can sell you a watch. You have a husband, he's a diver, he's a plumber, he's a mechanic. Bring $270. We have a $400 watch. I'll give you for $270. A lot of people purchased that last week. Thank you, St. Kitts Nevis. You have continued to support my business, and I'm very grateful. Don't forget, bring $5 to support this program because I'm not only doing this program 106.5, you know I'm here now. And so I got to pay a lot more money to do these programs. Having said that, I want to say thanks to Win FM for this magnificent opportunity they have given me to be on the station. Let's go to Watusi, the late Watusi.
Good night.
The late Watusi out of Nevis. He used to come down here and run taxi, you know.
Oh, I say.
The name of this song is People Crying. Thank you for listening. We're going till 11.
On a basis day by day, I am being challenged and disturbed. Constant struggle and tribulation. so sought by my people. They say the wages of survival is on an unbalanced scale, while cost of purchases are overrunning and humiliated. I won't deny these things being a soldier, cause people's problems are my concern. At times I had been frustrated, who in the kitchen always feel the heat, and it ain't sweet. People crying,
feeling insecure,
so disgusting.
we cannot take no more.
Some complaining,
We're selling out with land,
things ain't working.
soon we will be selling man.
Pressure in the land, coming from the 10 man in one. Who feels it knows it.
Sometimes we enjoy.
How about me say?
Folks, don't wait until you're sick to go to the doctor. Make sure you exercise and eat properly. Keep away from excess salt and sugar.
Integrity in the public life is so discredited and denigrated. They say a king have no honor or no latitude in their own country. But some are so busy and insist to pull down each other. Foreigners are coming the land in a rush, sponging off with benefits. Common citizens living lives of inflicted misery and pointing fingers at politicians, saying they are those who are keeping us in bondage with lies and taxes and false promises. And it is true. I see people crying,
Feeling insecure,
so disgusting.
we cannot take no more.
Some complaining,
We're selling out with land,
things ain't working.
soon we will be selling man.
Pressure in the land, coming from the 10 man in one. Who feels it knows it.
Sometimes we enjoy.
We used to had problems with 10 man in one. Now we got problems with 20 man in one. What a disgrace Timothy Harris has ended up to. Listen this verse.
Living in these crucial times, we are confronted by sudden negative changes, whose energy has set a human destructive course and devastating. And some like vultures, like this, when the less fortunate. There's some like vultures, preying on the less fortunate. Why you tell me say this is about race and color? Why Indian and Chinese getting first privilege? Let's look a little further than we can see. What dog he say when he lap water? What for you, for you? Disgusting.
We cannot take no more.
Some complaining,
Selling out with land,
things ain't working.
soon we will be selling man.
Pressure in the land, coming from the 10 man in one. Who feels it knows it.
Sometimes we enjoy.
How about say? give them another vote for this one.
No. Folks, and look at this. Let me say something to you. I want you to carefully listen this tape, because this is one of the tape that get me truly upset with Timothy Harris. Folks, let me ask you all something. You all not very concerned about the way forward for our country? I am. Could you imagine Mark Brantley, Eric Evelyn, Zook, or Alexis Jeffords, John L. Powell, Lindsey Grant, Sean Richards? Don't talk about Hamilton. None of those guys. Hamilton couldn't even, Mark Brantley said that Hamilton couldn't even get a maid. He couldn't even hire a maid, but in his ministry. Could you imagine what Timothy Harris will do with those people running with him? Just think for a moment. Think for a moment, folks. Let's be serious. Let's be careful what we're doing in our deliberations in life. Could you imagine Timothy Harris running this country for 5 more years with those guys who running in the election with him? But let's go to this.
Do you plan to make politics a career from here on in?
I intend to give a certain number of years in the future to the politics, and thereafter to take my graceful exit. I want to devote this period of time, and indeed in the new political dispensation which we are talking about in Team Unity, we are saying that the holder of the office of Prime Minister will serve no more than 2 terms. That suits me ideally, because it allows me to go at a good time and to put my sights on doing other things which are important to my life, my own advancement. I don't intend to go old or very old in politics, but I want this crisis basically, I would think in the end, when historians take due note, would be recorded as a failure of leadership, and in particular the autocratic dictatorial approach to government and governance adopted by Denzel Douglas in the end brought us to where we are.
My goodness me. Is this the same man named Timothy Harris? You all have not heard anything yet. Listen to this now.
The motion of no confidence is part of that democratic nature where you have a chance in between elections to check the government, to check.
Hold on. Let's play it for the Governor General. Let's play it from the top in case Tapley listening. Folks, this is serious, you know. Just these last 2 clips that I'm going to play, nobody in St. Kitts at all, including Timothy Harris' family, should vote for him. That's a snake. Timothy Harris operate like a big snake. Listen.
The motion of no confidence is part of that democratic nature where you have a chance in between elections to check the government, to change it if needs be, to bring a new prime minister if that is desirable, whether from the same side of the house or from an opposite side or an amalgamation.
That the government in power is only looking after its self-interest. Prime Minister, we can count. We recognize that 6 of 11 persons say they don't want you. And they really ain't want you. That is why they wrote to the Governor General. Prime Minister Larderman, you illegal. You acting like a vagabond now. Because you have no authority to be Prime Minister. And you ought not to be parading yourself up and down, squandering our money.
And after he said all those things, he's asking for the chamber and other people to come on board. The question is, where are they today? Do you know the amount of people who told me the week gone, the amount of things, information that they have, but they're scared to tell me? As if they think I'm stupid? You got something important to tell me. How do you expect me to come on the radio to disseminate it? Just as you gave me, so people can know it's you? Back to the board.
And when we said to him, call the motion of no confidence, show us where you have the full confidence. He goes back to say, well, Pam never bring no motion of no confidence. I call today on the leaders of our church to take a stand to protect our democracy. I call upon the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, take a stand in defense of democracy. I call upon the Bar Association, the Medical Association, to take a stand in defense of democracy. I call on the farmers to take a stand in defense of democracy. And I call upon you. I call upon you. I call upon you to take a stand. We have had enough of this.
Well, I could tell you something. Someone told me that Timothy Harris will be closing down St. Kitts shortly, once he would have had the opportunity to bring in enough people to vote for him. Let him try it. Most of us have seen justice perverted and good, innocent people oppressed by evil ones like Sean Richards and Mark Brantley. Will the time ever come when injustice and wickedness will be no more? Well, in Psalms 37 in the Bible offers the answer. Along with guidance for us now, note what it says on the following important questions. How shall we react? How should we react to those who oppress us? Let's turn to Psalms 37. I have enough minutes. I want to say again how grateful I am to Win FM for giving me this golden opportunity. And in spite of the fact that many have said to Win FM, take DuPont off the air, Win FM have said no. So let's go. In Psalms 37, 1 and 2, it says, do not be upset because of evil men or envious of wrongdoers. They will quickly wither like grass and shrivel like green new grass. What will become of wicked people? Verse 10. Let's look for verse 10 of Psalms 37. Just a little while longer and the wicked will be no more. You will look at where they were and they will not be there. What is the future for those who do what is right? Verse 11 and 29, it says, verse 11, but the meek will possess the earth, and they will find exquisite delight in the abundance of peace. 29, the righteous will possess the earth, and they will live forever on it. What shall we do now? Verse 34, hope in Jehovah and follow his way, and he will exalt you to take possession of the earth. When the wicked are done away with, you will see it clearly. It has been a great pleasure to be here again with you tonight on Win FM Radio 98.9. Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 12 read, Jehovah your God is in the midst of you. As a mighty one he will save. He will exalt over you with rejoicing. He will become silent in his love. He will be joyful over you with happy cries. Habakkuk 3:18 and 19. Yes, as for me, I will exalt in Jehovah himself. I will be joyful in the God of my salvation. Jehovah the sovereign Lord is my vital energy, and he will make my feet like those of the hinds, and upon my high places he will cause me to tread. Amos chapter 5 verse 15. Hate what is bad, and love what is good, and give justice a place in the gate. It may be that Jehovah, the God of armies, will show favor to the remaining ones of Jehovah. Malachi chapter 2 verse 1. Woe to those who are scheming what is harmful, and to those practicing what is bad. Upon their beds by the light of the morning, they proceed to do it, because it is in the power of their hands. Nahum chapter 1, 2 and 3. Jehovah is a God exacting devotion and taking vengeance. Jehovah is taking vengeance and is disposed to rage. Jehovah is taking vengeance against his adversaries, and he is resentful towards his enemies. Jehovah is slow to anger and great in power, and by no means will Jehovah hold back from punishing those who are not good. Malachi 7 verse 18, the last scripture. Who is a God like you, one pardoning error and passing over transgression of the remnant of his inheritance? Thank God for the opportunity again for coming here. Until you hear from me again, tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. and 106.5, Carlton Dupont saying bye, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Living for Jesus, the best thing a man can do. Living for Jesus, eternal life promise to. Living for Jesus, the best thing a man can do. Living for Jesus, eternal life promise to. Come now, he calls you. Come while you can. He'll liberate you. Yes, he know, man. Don't tell him later. Don't say tomorrow.